This webinar is about Prosolvr. Prosolvr is a tool, and it's a tool that has been developed in the US. And I am the owner of Osiris, which has the exclusivity to sell and implement this product in Europe. We will talk mainly about this product, and we will talk about what it is. It's about fishbone analysis. Sometimes you use the word Ishikawa. That can be used in different industries, from manufacturing to IT, or we can say also, for instance, when we have to work on topics such as safety at work. Each time you have a problem to solve that requires collaboration, and where you are nearly sure that this problem can occur again, this tool is for that. That's as simple as that. Okay, so I will not. So you all know me because you are two, and we know each other. I think Wim, you also know me from LinkedIn at least. So I'm very happy that you show up. Because we don't have time or possibility to discuss together, so it's always a pleasure. Are you located in Canada now, Wim?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I will. The idea of why I was interested in this tool is really about the root cause analysis in major incidents, and then I saw that the tool could be really used for any other purposes. So any other purposes is what we see here when we say that we can master root cause analysis. So it means that we will have a deep investigation of the cause of a problem. Maybe you are familiar with some techniques like the 8 disciplines, where you create a team, where you define the problem, and in fact, at the end of the day, you make sure that this problem will not occur again. That's an example. All these, in fact, elements have one thing in common, is that if you want to solve a problem in an efficient way, you need collaboration. And you also need to have the right information at the right time. And it was the main problem we have, because in fact, many organizations still are not so good in preventing problems to occur again. They cannot really rely on some data from history. So they keep, making some assumptions that can be wrong, and they don't have any way for them to validate whether these assumptions from the past were correct or not. So this is another thing about enhancing quality and reliability. And of course, if we have more problems solved, we have more reliability of our products. And at the end of the day, it should have a positive impact on the satisfaction of the customer. That's always the same story. So we can do that with Prosolvr and generative AI. So that's what we will see today. We will have a demo, because this slide deck is just to introduce the topic, and we'll mainly focus on some live demo. That's why you are here. And of course, then I would love to know your feedback. So if we continue a little bit with the what is generative AI, you have all heard about generative AI. You may use it in different occasion in your work or in your private life. And in fact, AI, it means artificial intelligence. But in the case of Prosolvr, I would say we should use augmented intelligence instead of artificial intelligence, because this tool, you will see, really help you to explore some, for instance, possible causes of a problem that you may, even though you are very experienced in your field, not think about. So it's really about augmenting, in fact, your cognitive, I would say, capabilities, and to be sure that you can be more efficient, and you can really find the root causes, or not one cause, but the leading causes of a problem. Okay. And in fact, all that is been built with AI in this model. That's why I insist on that. And what is Prosolvr? We will see that, but Prosolvr, in fact, is a tool that has been developed to create Ishikawa diagrams. We will see that in the demo, okay? To make sure that people can collaborate with different ways. For instance, we will not see it today, but imagine that you have a team with major incident team, okay? And they work together with Teams, they work together with Slack, for instance. You can directly collaborate on Teams and Slack, and you will see, based on, in fact, the activities of the team, how this Ishikawa can change and can be directly updated. So you have different ways, in fact, to use it, but the result is an Ishikawa that can also be saved as a template when a similar problem can be defined in the future. So it's all about that, Prosolvr, okay? Is it clear for the moment what Prosolvr is? Of course, the benefits, reduced time, training times. It's very easy to use. You will see it's very, I would say, intuitive tool. It's effective problem resolution because it's really about not reinventing the wheel. It's about collaboration, and it's about, of course, efficiency. Okay, now let's see the first demo I have for you, which is in fact a Prosolvr overview and AI insights to solve problem. And then we will see another one, which is how we can use generative AI templates within Prosolvr to create automatically some Ishikawa when we describe a problem. Those are the two use cases we will see today. And you feel impatient, right, to see the tool. So let me show the tool. Better you feel impatient. So here you see the tool. Do you see my screen? Yes. So very simple interface. I will sign in. And when I sign in, I am in my space where I will just comment what you can see. First thing you can see is the systems. The systems are in fact the area, the disciplines where you can use Prosolvr. So it can be, for instance, in IT for major incidents. It can be for manufacturing. It can be for safety at work. Anywhere, any field where you want to make people collaborate to solve a problem. Okay, so there is no limit on the field, but the field or the disciplines are called system in Prosolvr. Okay, and within this system, you have some problems that are described and solved through Ishikawa. So, for instance, you can add a new problem. Okay, I am in, for instance, this IT major incident discipline. I can add a problem, so I can add a new one. I can fulfill the information. I can put my problem number, the description of the problem. I can assign it to somebody. For instance, I can see that I am the owner of the problem, in charge of making sure that the Ishikawa will be updated, or if nothing happens with the resolution of the problem, we know that we have to contact me. A priority that you can define in the parameter of the system, and of course, who was the author, who reported the project. So this is very simple, the way you create a first problem. I will not do it for the reason that I already have some problem created. It's like in a cooking, show. I show you the process and then I show you the final result. So here, let's assume that we created a problem, and the problem is we have an outage of an e-commerce website, and for instance, it happened during Black Friday, a nightmare for the e-commerce. And here you see the result. This is what we call the Ishikawa. Peter, this is the Ishikawa. This is the fishbone, okay, with the head of the fish, the tail of the fish, and it can be customized. For instance, we had some customers who said that they are used to have the name of the problem here at the end of the head. This can be customized, okay? The system can be customized. But you see the idea. You say, okay, we have an e-commerce website, and here we have a lot of different possible things. This is a result of already what we brainstorm. But let's start from the beginning and say, okay, we have an outage and how we can help, how this tool can help us. You click here and we say, okay, can we get any recommendation? We just know that we have an e-commerce website outage. You click on recommendation and the system, based on the description of this, will tell you, oh, yes, we already had some problems like that. So we can match some existing problem we had in the tool, okay, with the problem that you describe. If we compare it, we can see, in fact, what is the match score. So that means the level of similarity we have between the problem we describe here and the problem we already faced in the past. You see the point?
May I jump in?
Yes, please.
Is it like that the system is using only the problems of my own problems in the past, or is there any like generic database of the recommendations?
Yes, that's a good point. I don't know if we can see it, but the recommendations you see can be from this system, so this discipline, from my account, or also from the web. Okay? I will not launch it from the web because it will be too heavy and too long to take, but this is the answer to your question. So it's not limited to, as I say, for instance, for your company, you can say, okay, we already have some, and for manufacturing, and then you can say manufacturing is a system, you can get all the recommendation from that, which is quite powerful. And we will see, in fact, at the end of this, how you can make that available for other use. Okay, but the idea, yes, please, Wim.
For the same area, if we, my question is about that this system or this platform is fully integrated with production environment and service tool that we export all the data about the history and the assumption, the component. It's fully automated, all those analysis, or
yeah, okay, so that's a good point. I will jump into just that to tell you how it works. In fact, if I come back to my problem, I will just show you how it works. In fact, here what you can do, and I will not do that, but from the ITSM tool or anything, you can format an Excel file and then you can import that from Excel. And when you import that, it will create you the Ishikawa directly. You save it as a template, and it will feed your database. It's one way to do it. Another way is to by batch to create. We just give you the structure of the file, and then it can like a batch create these problems for you. So there are different possibilities. So one way is to feed the data for the problem. Another way, and that which we'll see today, if you use Jira or if you use, I don't know, tools like that, there is a Jira add-on. And in fact, you can use directly in Jira this stuff, this Prosolvr, okay? Which is quite good because, I mean, we don't have for other tools like ServiceNow or other, but it can be feasible. It depends, of course, on the requirements of the customer. But yes, for IT, this is something that we can do that, and of course you can export that. Okay, I wanted to show you something. So when we come back to this. To the recommendations, so we can see, in fact, that we have different recommendations, okay, which is a way to say, okay, we already have, for instance, a recommendation action recommended to change configuration because it's the most likely cause is it was a hacking attack, a DDoS attack, and in that case, we recommend to do that. But you can say, yes, but it's maybe not exactly our case. Do you have anything special to provide us? And we can say, okay, sorry, let me come back. In that case, what we can do is that we can say, okay, I mean, just imagine this is the already a very sophisticated Fishbone. But when you start, you say, okay, I have my problem described and I have no clue about that, okay? So what you can do is that you can say, show me what is the best match Fishbone I have. And here I go. you have a baseline, so you don't have to create anything. If there are some very similar problem in the past in our database or in the web, it will directly know an Ishikawa, and if you accept it, it will overwrite the Ishikawa you've just seen. That's one option, which is very powerful. Another option, which is quite powerful, is to say, instead of having one Fishbone, when you see the recommendations, you see that we had different matching problems, not only one. So each problem is an Ishikawa. So we say, okay, we say one thing is to take the best one. Another option is to take the aggregated one. And what is the aggregated one? Is in fact, it will aggregate the score and it will take the causes which have the best score from different problems. That's what we call an aggregated fishbone. And in that case, he say the fishbone will look like this. 66.7% of the problem has been caused by a DDoS attack and rest by network issue. And in that case, it is more accurate than to take the best match. You see? So you have different options. All that is managed, of course, by AI. And at the end of the day, you end up with an Ishikawa, okay, that you can then, of course, make people collaborate with. And to make people collaborate with, it's very easy. First thing you can do is, okay, you look at one cause and you say, okay, this cause, I don't think that this is a cause. It's not likely or not a cause. Not likely, not a cause, not a cause, depending on your own investigation. So you can say it's not a cause. In that case, you will skip it because you don't want to add a clue, okay, for in that case. And here it will change the color because you know that in fact it's not a cause, okay? If it's a real cause, so for instance, you can say that this is a real cause, it's a contributed cause, then it will also change the color and it will be red because you know that it's one cause of the problem. Okay, so visually you can very easily see, and obviously you can create other cause, you can create subcause. So for instance, if I'm here, I can, you see, create a new subcause of this, saying that, I don't know, for instance, lack of training. So it means people never attend security training. I know what I'm talking about. Okay, and it can be another, you see, cause that you have here. You can explore. Okay, so it's very easy. Imagine really that people can have access to that if they are in the system, and they can like this directly on the Ishikawa, or, and that will be maybe another webinar, they can use Slack, they can use Teams, and when they will have some command prompt to directly update, so if you are in anywhere in your organization, you can use Teams, and you can like that collaborate on the root cause analysis, which is quite powerful, and not, you can tell if it's easy or not to use, but I think it's quite intuitive. And of course, what you can do is that you can see if you have some users that have been assigned. So for instance, if we talk about firewall misconfiguration, then you can assign it to somebody. I don't know if we have here somebody. Yes, I will assign it to me. Okay, and then normally I will have an email notification that say that I have something to do because there is an investigation that falls on me. That is one thing. Another thing that you can do is, in fact, what you can say here is you don't have subcause, but what you can do is that. So there was somebody else. What you can do is that you can also, oops, sorry. Oh. I don't know what happened. Anyway, what you can do here. That's the demo effect. So let me come back to what I wanted to say. What I wanted to say is that, in fact, you can define some actions, okay? And of course, each action you do, like corrective action, investigation, and so on, preventive action, can be added directly to the Ishikawa. So you can, in fact, do many things. And what you can do is that each time you create a new cause, you can have some nested cause. And in order to not forget where you are, you have what we call the cause tree. And the cause tree is very easy because here you can directly navigate and you can say, okay, I don't bother with human error. I want to be directly to what interests me, the botnet attack. And you are directly there. Okay, so you have different way, in fact, to navigate into the different causes. One thing is that you can also create a nested cause. So that means an Ishikawa that can be related to this one. And you can have different layers of Ishikawa, you know, one which with the main one, and then you can have other Ishikawa if you want, if your system is quite complex. Is it clear for the moment? Yes? Another thing which is interesting to see is also this timeline. When you look at the timeline, it's the history. Okay, so for instance, you see how your Ishikawa evolved during the time, which is good for audit purposes. Because sometimes, you know, people will say, okay, well, we have a major incident. Imagine that. What did you investigate? Did you really investigate that thing? And yes, you can. Yes, we investigate that here. You see, my Ishikawa was like that at this time. At this time, it was like this. So you can really use, and you can use it in a reverse timeline, or you can use, you know, in a chronological order or in a reverse chronological order. Okay. And of course, each time you can download the view to say, at this time, this was the Ishikawa, this was the status of our investigation. At this time, this was the status of our investigation. This is something that our customers wanted for audit purposes. Because sometimes, you know, especially if you manage defects on a product, they want to be sure that you have a holistic view on the causes of a problem. Okay? And each time you can download it. So if you download it, I will put it here, or I will put it directly in this. And you can see, in fact, the result. It will be it's a normal picture, a JPEG. Okay. So this is about that. Then what you can do also, as I told you, another thing that you can do is that you can, as I said, export. You can import, but also you can export everything to Excel, which is very good because that's also another thing that we had in some customers. In some customers, they wanted to have everything in Excel and not just to have the Fishbone, because just showing a picture is not enough. So you can, in fact, export all this information in an Excel file. I will show you. Oops. So here, this is not what I wanted to show you anyway. This is what I wanted to show you. So here you have a lot of different, you see, we have the 8D, so that means the this approach, the 8 disciplines, okay? So what was the team that we used and the problem description and so on, okay? And this is something that was been asked by our customers. Some customers say they want to make a summary using the 8D, so the 8 disciplines, 1 to 8, and we have it this way. And then you can have all the causes and everything, in fact, is done in Excel, everything. So it's very easy to manipulate, to use it, to store it, to see the history of what has been changed, to see the solutions that can be used, and so on and so on. You see? So again, what you see in all this interface, everything obviously is tracked. So every transaction we have within this system can be tracked for any ex post check or audits or any reasons. I'm not too quick. No? Of course, the system can also show you, we don't have any clues, but you can also have some clues. So that means some ideas of what could be the real cause of it. So you can add some clues, and for instance, you can do that based on some symptoms. Okay, here that's the recommendation again. But if you don't have anything, you can use it like that. It's another way, in fact, to find a way. But the best way, honestly, is to always start with get some recommendations. That's really the best way. It's easy. And my recommendation, honestly, because get recommendation will not always lead with something. Sometimes you have no, historical problem. So in that case, it doesn't make sense to use aggregated or best match Fishbone because you will have no data. But if you have get recommendation, we have some results based on that, then you can choose. And in my recommendation, it's better to use aggregated Fishbone because then you use more than one problem and not the best one, which will not be maybe the most accurate. Of time, everything can be tracked, people can collaborate, everybody is accountable for a specific part of it, and nobody can say that he was not informed, which is quite powerful. And as I said to you, Wim, based on your question, it can really be used, as you see in ITSM, obviously, when we talk about problem management, when we talk about major incident management, or even though other things, you can fully imagine that, for instance, if you want to brainstorm about the impact of a change, you can also use this tool, You have a change and you want to be sure that you evaluate any impact. You don't have all the data on the CMDB, then you want people to collaborate. You can do that. So if you use the swarming technique of being everybody on the same, that Wim, then you can use it. This tool can help you with that. You see?
Yeah, sure.
And our aim is to really make sure that we can plug it, or we can have this tool available with the major tools that are used in the industry. We started with Jira because Jira in ITSM is one of the most commonly used, but we will continue, of course, based on what the customers want.
Yeah, that was one of my questions. If there is any integration with ServiceNow, which would be useful in our case, I can imagine.
Yes, it's something that we are now working on. BMC ServiceNow after Jira. We started with Jira because it was the kind of I would say most common case based on the customers we had. But yes, with ServiceNow, it's any ITSM major ITSM tool. It makes sense to integrate with Prosolvr.
And then actually, what I can imagine is really this application can be used within the IT for these major incidents. If there's a P1 incident that would automatically trigger this Prosolvr and da. And for the other use, I can really see in quality in the manufacturing, in production, maybe some integration with the TrackWise or other softwares for the quality management. I was facing in the past, not in the Iveco, but in Zentiva or in Foxconn, the requirements for the quality team to okay, we need 8D report or we need something, and this would be really useful. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why, in fact, when I look at manufacturing, you see they had, for instance, ship contamination issue problem or anything like that. So you can have anything, defect. You are now working. There are a lot of plants also in the Czech Republic interested with that. So I agree with you. For instance, here we say, you see, you have there was a ship contamination problem, and here you see. It was the cause. The cause was about measurements. Okay, so it was a problem from the result of the monitoring system, but it could be a problem of environment, of material, method, and so on. So it can be used, as I said, in any industry. And what you said about the 8D, that was the reason why when we created the Excel, the first element of the Excel was structured using the 8 disciplines, because that's what people in these industries want more. That's what they want, I would say, by default.
Yeah.
Another thing, of course, each time you can save anything you want as a template. The template can be available, as I say, within your system, within your account, and you can also browse the templates. Okay, so for instance, here there is one template from this system, which is contamination in semiconductor manufacturing. In this account, we have other templates, and each time you don't want to use, but it's another source of information that can be used, and you can apply it each time you apply a template. Then of course it will it can overwrite the existing Ishikawa.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but if you
yes.
override, then you have the original the copy in the timeline as you
yes,
showed
in the
before.
timeline.
Okay.
Exactly. So that's a good point what you just said. Yes, it's true that in fact you never lose anything, and nobody can say, oh no, we didn't explore that, or the system overwrote. No, you can see that, and then you can zoom back, and then you can extract. The only and in fact in the Excel you also see the history, not exactly in the same way, but you can get it also in Excel.
Okay, it's interesting.
So this is one thing I wanted to show you. Another thing I wanted to show you, if you don't have any further questions on that, it's something related
I have a question, David, please.
Yes.
About the choice of Fishbone. I know it's a powerful tool, but why? I don't know if there is in the roadmap of the product, there is another techniques to be injected rather than the Fishbone, maybe Pareto, Y analysis, tree analysis. You see that you said also that it can be used rather than problem solving in change impact analysis and company. So it can be, I don't know if you have in mind such evolution in the roadmap of the product.
Okay, yeah, I know what you are talking about. The reason why we use Ishikawa is quite obvious, because I mean, this is a graphical tool that is very easy for us to where you can see the big picture and at the same time focus on one part at the same time. So you see the big picture here, and you can say, okay, now let's dig into the training part, and what you say about the fault tree analysis, which is something that we could do, but I mean, if we talk about, for instance, fault tree analysis, it's already something that the graphical interface pre-exists the tool. So, for instance, if we talk about the fault tree analysis, you can fully imagine that many ITSM tools, if we say this example, will already have the capability for you to browse the CMDB directly from their system, and for you to conduct the fault tree analysis. It doesn't mean that we will change this interface, but the choice we do is that also from other industry than IT, Ishikawa is mainly used, and we wanted to open that to other industry. We started with Smart QED. Smart QED is the ancestor of this product and was mainly about IT incidents. And then we had the feedback from people say, yeah, but why don't we use, I am a quality manager. I would like to use it in quality management for my product. Is it possible? And from Smart QED, we created a more general tool called Prosolvr, and that's what I'm showing to you now. But I agree with you. We can have different other techniques, many others. Yes.
David, I'm sorry, I need to leave. I have another meeting which started earlier than I expected.
Okay, no problem, Peter.
It was really interesting. I was not aware of the solution like this, so it was really interesting.
Okay, so we can discuss that when we will meet, just for you to know if it can interest any people in your organization. Thank you very much for being there. I didn't feel alone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Wim, we will continue in English because I'm recording that. So if you don't mind, even if though we could speak in French. I will just give you 1 minute and then we will finish the recording. One thing I just wanted to show you is this. You get or use GenAI. So for instance, here we have, for instance, the problem title, and you can, get RCA template from GenAI. It's like if you use ChatGPT, you have this. So I will put, okay, I have a problem or chip contamination problem, and I want them, okay, yes, and you see the prompt. It's like ChatGPT. Okay. We are going to use GenAI, okay, and it will create, in fact, a possible fishbone for you. We will see. I didn't try it with this example, but okay, here you go. Good. And it creates, you see, that's good. That's quite good. And in fact, here you recognize, in fact, the result of a ChatGPT prompt, you see? And you can use this RCA template, okay? And that's it. Here we go. So you see, that's the power of GenAI in this tool also, is that you can really use this. And just to finish with that, if I'm asking my friend, it's not my friend. But if I don't know why it didn't put in English anyway. So here normally I should have Explore GPT, and when I look at Prosolvr, there should be a Prosolvr rat, okay? And here we can also use it like from that. And from that, you see, it can also help you creating some. It will not create but it will create, a result that you can download in an Excel file. So, for instance, we can say, I don't know, let's say e-commerce major outage is a root analysis, okay, and it will create this directly, you see. And then what you can do is that it will create you this, and it will format it you in Excel. Then you can import to create an Ishikawa in Prosolvr.
An Excel in the same format that can be integrated, fully integrated with Prosolvr template. Okay.
It takes a bit of time. I don't know if we will have time, but that's the idea. So it will create that, and then normally we can import it. It's just for you to know that it's also available from that part. Okay. But what is interesting is you see, you can really ask him. So if you have no clue, you just write the name of your problem, nothing more, nothing less. And then you go here and you say, get or use GenAI Fishbone, and it will create something for you directly, which is quite powerful, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay, it's still working.
Very helpful, especially in the case when we were talking about the functionality of the tools. I thought about swarming team, you see.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's why I saw you
because everyone has focus on his area without thinking about the remaining areas, you see.
Yeah,
so
and
also all this in the same template, very helpful for the team, I think.
Yeah, and that's why we, as I said, what I want is to make more like one of our next webinar, if I have more people on board, but anyway, it's just a start. It's not a well-known product, so we need to communicate on that. It will be about the way we use Prosolvr with Slack or Teams in order to support this collaboration, which is also very powerful because, as you say, especially when we talk about swarming, one thing we know is that any organization, any customer, they never want to use different tools. That's always the nightmare. So if they are used to Jira, if they are used to Teams, you can use a channel on Teams to solve your incident, and you will use some prompt, and it will create and update your Ishikawa Fishbone directly from this. Okay, it was created. Let's see So cause, I would say, e-commerce. So he created, in fact, a file. We can just see the structure of this file. Here we go. So you see, created a file with a specific structure, okay, containing all the information we saw from the prompt, you see? So we have a cause, we have a cause path, and so on. Now, let's see. I will try now, okay? If we can import that, I will not do it in the manufacturing, I will do it in the major incidents, for instance. And I will import from SXL, okay? So I'll upload a file, and my file was this one. Oops. Okay, upload, and we will see. Processing. Here we go. He created the Ishikawa, you see? Quite good,
Yeah.
no? So what we just did is that we discussed with ChatGPT, for instance, about the problem, and if you want to initiate Nishikawa during this, you just do that. You use the Prosolvr root cause analysis from ChatGPT. It will create you an Excel that you can directly import in Prosolvr to start working on an Nishikawa. It's another option. You see?
Even, in fact, convert all data into a template, a graphic template. It can be very helpful for the team, I think.
Yes. And then you can continue, or you can just, as you say, export that. Everything we see here, in fact, can be, as I said, can be used. The system will retrieve information by matching, the description, the name of the problems. So that's the power of this tool. Or there are different benefits, but this one is very powerful. Yeah, and we can use this tool in a cloud, or we can install the tool on premise. Both are possible.
Okay.
So you are not obliged to, because sometimes customers are a bit reluctant in using cloud-based systems, depending on where you are in the world. In Europe, they are still, sometimes a bit reluctant with that. So that's why we have both possibilities. Okay, so I think that, do you have any other questions?
No, so far so good. It's a clear, but the point of the integration, I think, if it is via API or not,
I don't know exactly, but I can take that point because I am not fully aware of the way the integration is done, but there is no issue to give you more details about that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But knowing that it is integrated with Jira, that it is,
yes,
there is a capability also to be connected or fully coupled with other tool like DevOps Azure, ServiceNow also. And as you said, with the collaboration tools also like Teams, so it will be more easy to use and easy to introduce to within the team.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I will just finish the recording.